So, good morning, everyone. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor João Carlos Ferreira Costa from Unesp, BIUS Unesp, who will talk about topological classification of simple Morse spot functions on the projective plane. Thank you very much, João Carlos.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ellen, for the introduction. First, I'd like to thank the organizers, my friends, by invitation and by this opportunity. It's a pleasure for me to attend the webinar today, okay? The title of my talk is Topological Classification of Simple Morse-Bot Functions on the Projective Plane. This is a joint work with Érica Batista from Universidade Federal do Cariri e Ingrid Mesa Sarmiento from Universidade Federal de Itajubá. In fact, this work is submitted to publication this year. And I'd like to thank FAPESP by financial support for this work, okay? What's the motivation of this work? A classical subject in singularity theory is the classification problem of mappings, or smooth mapping or map germs. And in this case, I want to investigate the classification problem of smooth mapping defined on manifolds taking values in R, okay? But this is a general question, then what kind of restriction are we going to make here? In the first moment, we will investigate the classification problem of simple Morse functions defined on closed surface in dimension 2, okay? Taking values in R. Let's give an overview and background of this problem. The first case I will investigate is the Morse functions defined on orientable closed surface. Just remember, a smooth function f is a Morse function if all its critical points are non-degenerated. In other words, the Hessian matrix of f is non-degenerated, okay? In this case, the critical points of f are isolated critical points. And a Morse function is called simple if all its critical points lie on different level sets of f. In the literature, there are many papers investigating the Morse functions and dedicate to the classification problem of this kind of functions. Of course, each one of these classifications depends on the equivalence relation used to classify them. For instance, every Morse function determines a foliation on the surface. By definition, its fibers are the connected components of the levels of the functions. Then we have a natural equivalence between Morse functions. Two Morse functions f and g are called fiber-wise equivalent if there exists a diffeomorphism H in the source, which transforms the connected component of level lines of f into twos of g. Under fiber-wise equivalent, two connected components of some level set of f may be mapped into connected components lying on different levels of g. In other words, connected components which initially belong to the same level of one function can move onto different levels of other function. But the fiber-wise equivalence relation can be made a little stronger in the following sense when we introduce the notion of A plus equivalence. Two Morse functions f and g are said to be A plus equivalent if there exists a diffeomorphism H in the source and K in the real line, such that the diagram of f and g are commutative. Then we have this condition. This f is k composed to g composed to h minus 1. And we require that k preserves orientation. Of course, if this condition about k is not required, we say that f and g are A equivalent. A difference between the fiber-wise equivalence and A plus equivalence can be explained as follows. Under fiber-wise equivalent, the connected component of a certain level set of f are allowed to move to different level set of g, whereas under A plus equivalence, they have to remain on the same level. When we study A plus equivalence, we can assume that the critical levels of a Morse function are naturally ordered in increasing order. It is important that this order is not changing under A plus equivalence of Morse functions. That is why the number of classes of equivalence with respect to A plus equivalence is greater than of the fiber-wise equivalence, okay? The classification of simple Morse functions up to fiber-wise equivalence was done by Bolsinov and Fomenko in this reference, in this book. With respect to A plus equivalence, simple Morse functions were classified by several authors, among them Sebastian Izard, this is a retired professor from my university, Charcot, Kulinich, Arnold. Here are the references of these classifications. Also, Morse functions were classified up to isotopy by Kudryavtseva. Isotopy means that F and G are A plus equivalence, where the diffeomorphism H in the source is homotopic to identity. And here, this is the works of Kudryavtseva. I use this notation A plus just to emphasize that the diffeomorphism K in the target preserves the orientation, okay? Well, the protagonists in all of these works investigating the classification of simple Morse function on closely orientable surface is a graph, so-called Hib graph. But the Hib graph, what means Hib graph? Hib graph was introduced by Hebb in 1946. And the definition is the following. Given a topological space X and a continuous function f, we consider an equivalence relation on X where two guys, X and Y, are equivalent if only if they belong to the same connected component of a level set of F. The Hebb graph, and we denote by RF, associated to F, is the quotient space of X by this equivalence relation, endowed with the quotient topology. In other words, the Hebb graph associated to F is obtained by contracting connected component of its level set to points. In this case, the vertices correspond to the components containing the critical points, and the set of vertices will be denoted by VF, and the edges correspond to the regular connected components, okay? Here we have a simple example of Hebb graph associated to the height function f on the torus. In this case, the height function f has 4 critical points. Here, 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 and here. And we find that this critical point corresponds to the change of topology of the level set of the function. The vertices, the critical level are related to the vertices in the graph, and the level set of regular level are related to points on the edges, okay? In this case, we have a maximum, 2 saddles, and a minimal point. Some remarks about the Hebb graphs. The Hebb graphs describe the behavior of the function. In other words, it shows the evolution of the level sets of f. We can look at this in this picture of the torus. The Hebb graph have many applications in topology, in singularity theory, like this work in dynamical sequencing.
Joe, you should say that it exists. That it's not always clear that a Hebb graph exists, right?
Right. I comment a little bit. 1 minute.
Because that just if you take any foliation, for instance, if you take the foliation in the torus, just by the irrational angle. It simply doesn't exist. So then this, so that there is a quotient space, but it's not a graph. So that
yes, I put this in my observations in the future slides.
okay, I'm sorry for disturbing.
No problem, no problem.
We discussed that a lot of time ago, then even in the since the defense of Erica, right?
Okay. In
Yeah.
computer graphics, for instance, the Hebb graph was introduced by Shinagawa in 1991, and there are many interesting applications in computational topology for shape analysis involving Hebb graphs. For example, they use the Hebb graphs to detect noise in images, or to reconstruct manifolds, among other things, okay? But here is just a practical example of the Hebb graph associated to human body sculpture where, with respect to height function. Then we have the vertices, okay? And when we have the regular levels, we have the points of the edges. Perhaps it would be better to call Hebb graphs by Hebb space, as some recent papers do, like, for instance, Professor Saek. In fact, for an arbitrarily smooth or continuous function, the Hebb graph may be not a graph. Okay, Lev? Even on a smooth manifold, we can find an example where the Hebb graph of a good smooth function can be quite ill-behaved. For instance, if we consider the plane minus the origin, the smooth function given by this projector in the second coordinated is a good function. The Hebb graph in this case is not a graph. It's a line with two origins, like this, because we contract each level set at a point, and this level is contracting 2 points, 2 distinct points. Then here we have a bug-eyed line, which is not a graph. Then, in fact, the name Hebb graph is not much appropriate, but it's common in the literature, okay? But for simple Morse functions defined on the closed surface, the Hebb graph structure is well behaved. It is a finite graph, in fact, okay? In particular, when M2 is equal to the standard sphere, the Hebb graph associated to a simple Morse function has a simple structure. It's a tree. For a Morse function on a surface of genus G, the Hebb graph has G independent cycles. For example, one cycle for the torus, two cycles for the bitorus, and so on. If you look for this picture of the torus, we have genus 1, and here we have one cycle, okay? And the Hebb graph alone is not enough to classify simple Morse function in general. It's not possible to distinguish two functions up to A plus equivalence. In the next picture, the Hebb graph of F and G are essentially the same. They are isomorphic, but the respective Morse functions F and G are not A plus equivalent because the topological type of the level set are not preserved. Okay? Then these are some considerations about the Hebb graph. Okay, Lev? And now we to distinguish the Morse functions with respect to A plus equivalent is necessary to add more conditions in the graph. Is necessary an order in the vertices. How is possible to do this? Denote by QF the quotient map from M to RF. The RF is the Hebb graph, okay? There is a unique continuous functions bar f from the Hebb graph in R, given by bar f taking each equivalence class of equivalence class in the head graph into value of f in x, so that f can be written like the composition given by bar f composed to qf. The map bar f is called Hib map, and the representation of f bar this composition is called Stein factorization. Taking the Heb graph, like previously defined, together with the labels of the vertices induced by this map bar f, now we have an invariant with respect to a plus equivalent. We denote by gamma f the Heb graph with this order in the vertex, these labels in the vertex, okay? But by simplicity, we continue calling gamma f by Heb graph associated to f. Then we have the classification theorem of simple Morse functions. Two f and g, two Morse-Bott function f and g are a plus equivalent if only if their Heb graphs are equivalent. I'm not going now the definition or what means the definition of equivalence of graphs, but I will define it in the future slides, okay? We have already seen that the simple graph isomorphism is not enough to distinguish the graphs, okay? Just some remarks about this theorem. First, for instance, in the proof given by Professor Izar, the condition in this direction is valid for any dimension, while the converse direction is just valid in the case n equal 2, where M2 is orientable, okay? And when M is equal as 2, the Heb graph with order in the vertices is the only invariant for Morse functions. This is given by Arnold. Just to point out the importance of study this kind of function and the importance to obtain variant of them, one interesting fact is that the topological classification of functions defined in two spheres is related to one of the questions of the 16th Hilbert's problem about the arrangement of the planar algebraic curve of fixed degree defined on the real plane. A real polynomial of fixed degree defined in the real plane generates a smooth function in the sphere, and the topological structure of these functions on two spheres influences the topological properties of the arrangement of the real algebraic curves where the initial polynomials vanish. Just a remark to emphasize the importance of to study this kind of
I'm sorry, that according to the Hilbert problem, it was about the function in the projective space and not in the sphere, right?
Yeah, yes. First, I am in the first case. I am in the case where I investigate Morse function is a background of the theory. I am first studying Morse function on orientable closed surface. First. Okay?
Orientable means that if you're in projective, then you're not.
No, it's in the future. Okay.
But the Hilbert problem was in the projective space, was not the configuration of ovals was in the projective plane, not in the plane. That
yes. No, in the plane. In the plane. Here is in the plane.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Here is in the plane. R2.
Mm-hmm.
In the second case, I will investigate Morse function now defined in closed non-orientable surface. The case of non-orientable case is a little bit more complicated, but we also have some classifications. For simple Morse functions on the projective plane, for example, we have a recent paper of Bilun, Prishlyak, Stas, and Vlashenko, where the author studied the topological structure of Morse function on the projective plane. In this paper, they studied the topological structure, introduced the notion of fiber equivalence. Fiber equivalence is a little bit different for fiber-wise equivalent given the previous slide. Two Morse functions in the projective space are fiber equivalent if there exists a homeomorphism on the projective plane onto itself, which map fibers of f into fibers of G and the local minima to the local minima. With respect to A plus equivalence, the Morse function defined on two-dimensional manifold closed non-orientable also was classified by Professor Izar in this reference. But now, just the Hebb graph and the order of the vertices is not sufficient to classify the Morse functions in the non-orientable case. Here, it's necessary to include a kind of signature on the vertices of saddle of the Hebb graph in order for it to be a complete invariant with respect to A plus equivalence. But there are many interesting problems and questions involving Morse functions, and many authors, in addition to those already mentioned here, have dedicated to study problems related with Morse functions. We can cite, for instance, the works of Professor Saek, Professor Nuno Balesteiros, Nicolaescu, Irina Gelbuck, Kitazawa, Michalak, among many others. But a natural question in this context is the following. Is there a similar investigation for a wider class of function which includes Morse function? The answer is yes, and the class of functions that we are interested to investigate here is the class of Morse-Bott functions. But what are Morse-Bott functions? We have already seen that for Morse functions, its critical points must all be isolated points, and they are of three types: minimums, maximum, and saddle points, which are zero-dimensional subsets, okay? However, for other class of functions, the critical points can form submanifolds of M. One of the Bott's first insights was to see how to extend the Morse theory to this situation, and Bott introduced the notion of non-degenerated critical submanifold to extend the theory of Morse in this situation. Then let's define the Morse-Bott function. First, we need to define the nullity of a singular point, P of f. The nullity is the dimension of the kernel of the Hessian of f in P. A smooth submanifold S in the singular set of f is a non-degenerate singular submanifold of f if the following conditions are satisfied. The boundary of S is empty, S is compact and connected, and for all S, the nullity of S is equal to the dimensional of S. Then, a smooth function f is called the Morse-Bott function, or MB function from now on, if the singular set of f is a disjunct union of connected non-degenerate singular submanifolds of dimensional less than or equal to n-1. In other words, a Morse-Bott function is a smooth function whose the singular set is a disjunct union of submanifolds where the Hessian is non-degenerate in the normal direction. This means, like a simple example, if we take a function f in two variables, f and x equal x squared in the plane, here we have the singular set of f is this line, and if we restrict in the normal direction, we have in this point, in the normal direction, restrict the normal direction, we have a Morse function, okay? This means the Morse function, the Morse-Bott function. But in my case, we are investigate surface, then n is equal to. Then, given a smooth Morse-Bott function, the singular set of f can be subdivided in three subsets. Points in singular submanifolds of dimensional 1, which are homeomorph to circles. In this case, they are called critical circles. On these circles, the function assumes extremal values. Or isolated singular points, which are extremous point of f, like maximum or minimum points, or saddle points. Or saddle points are isolated singularities of index 1 of f. More example about Morse-Bott function.
Just a moment.
Okay.
Let's come back to the previous slide. then you have you don't
This-
permit this. Yes, you don't permit, for instance, some copies of S1 just pinched somewhere.
This is copies of S1 is permitted. This is
But if they're pinched, because you know,
for a Morse
so,
in general Morse bot functions.
yes,
Yes,
that
it's
you have,
permitted.
so that you can have this kind of number 8, right?
I don't know if I understand, but there are
There's something which is homeomorphic to the number 8.
the
Number 8.
the number 8.
It's
Yeah,
it's a set, right? Yeah,
Saddle points.
yeah. The set of points who is the number 8. So 2 circles pinched at one point.
Yes. The saddle point it's not appear like a submanifold. This appear as a critical level set of the function.
Yes, but you said that the critical set should be homeomorphic to a circle, but it's not.
Yes, the critical set can be homeomorph to S1 because in this case, the possibility of dimension of the submanifold are 0 or 1. This isolated singular points or in dimensional 1.
Okay, I understand.
General,
Okay, good.
but
Thank you.
in general, if you have a round function, like example of Morse bot functions, where the critical sets are disjunctional of circles, for instance. Okay, this is possible. This is a special class of Morse bot functions. Other interesting example of Morse bot function, but not Morse, I can look the height function, the torus tangent to the plane along a circle, like this picture here. If you have a torus tangent to a plane, we have 2 circles like a singular set. These 2 critical submanifolds. Okay. And here we do not have isolated critical points in this case, just S1 critical circles. Other interesting example of Morse bot functions can be found in my papers with my collaborators, Erika Batista and Ingrid Sarmiento, published in the Journal of Singularity. Simple Morse bot function means that F admits only one critical fiber in its level sets, okay? The third case that I will investigate is the Morse bot functions, now defined in the closed orientable surface. This kind of function were classified by Ingrid Sarmiento, José Martínez Alfaro and Regilene Oliveira in this paper, but they classify up to topological conjugance. What means topological conjugance? Topological conjugance means that there exists homeomorphism in the source and the target preserving orientation, where the diagram of F and G are commutative given this condition, and plus an additional condition that H sends singular fibers of F to singular fibers of G. The reason to add the extra condition about H is because their work was inspired into trying to obtain the topological equivalence of Morse bot function using the idea and invariants of the topological equivalence of their respective Morse bot foliation. Okay. Just a remark, if we consider Morse bot function taking values now in S1 and not in the line real, up to topological conjugancy, this kind of Morse bot function was investigated by myself, Ingrid, and Batista in these two papers, okay? These kind of maps are called circle-valued simple Morse-Bot function. There are many other interesting problems involving Morse-Bot function, and several authors, in addition to those already mentioned here, have dedicated to study problems related with these functions. We can cite, for instance, Irina Gelbuck, Osamu Saeki, Kitazawa, Baniyaga, among others, okay? Now, the focus of this work will be, Morse-Bot functions defined in closed non-orientable surface. We will consider here in this work today just the case when M is the projective plane. We also have investigated other closed non-orientable surface, but we still don't have a general answer like the ones we have for the projective plane. We consider the following equivalence relation to Morse-Bot functions f and g on the projective plane are said to be topologically A plus equivalent or C0 A plus equivalent if there exists homeomorphism on the projective plane and the homeomorphism in the target such that K preserves orientation and F can be right on this form. In fact, we do not require that H sends singular fibers into singular fiber in topological conjugacy definition. Here, we prove that this condition is consequence of our definition, okay? For Morse functions defined on the projective plane, we have the following classification theorem given by Prishliak and his co-authors. Two simple Morse functions on the projective plane are fiber equivalent if only if their Hebb graphs are isomorphic. In other words, the Hebb graph is enough to classify Morse functions on the projective plane and the projective space, in projective plane, via fiber equivalence. But for Morse-Bot function on projective plane, just the Hebb graph is not enough to distinguish the maps up to topological A plus equivalent. Additional informations were introduced in order to make it a complete topological invariant with respect to this equivalence relation. Note that Morse-Bot functions exhibit more variety of singular fibers than Morse functions, of course. The construction of our invariant is based on the topological aspects of the singularities of the functions and its immersions on the projective plane. We will use the topological classification of the level sets of the Morse-Bot functions, which are simple closed curves and eights, or saddle curves on projective plane. A simple closed curve in the projective plane can be seen as the image of embedding of a circle on the projective plane, while the eights in the projective plane can be seen as the image of an immersion of a circle, which is homeomorph to two circles S1 and S2, like this, glued at a point, okay? Let L be the image of an embedding of S1 on the projective. Then the complementary of this curve could have one or two connected components. We say that one embedded circle L is essential if it's not homotopic to zero. The curve L is said to be two-sided curve if it admits a closed regular neighborhood which is homeomorph to a cylinder, and it's said to be one-sided curve if it admits a closed regular neighborhood which is homeomorph to a Mobius band. In fact, it's important to emphasize that the topological classification of curves on surfaces does not depend only on the topological type of the curve, but also it is necessary to investigate their regular neighborhoods and also its complementary sets on the surface. We can find more details about this in these two references and the works of Ingrid Sarmiento and her collaborators, okay, to emphasize this topological classification of curves and orientable and non-orientable surface. In the specific case of the projective plane, follows from the classification of closed curves given by Ingrid that there are only two classes of distinct closed curves. These two curves, I like this red and this green. Here we had a curve which is a two-sided curve. We use the notation given by Ingrid in her works. And here we have a closed curve because this point is the identity with this point in the projective plane. But here, if we take a neighborhood of this curve, if we take a neighborhood of this curve here, it's possible to see that this is a one-sided curve because it admits a closed regular neighborhood which is homeomorphic to a Mobius band, okay? While this curve is a two-sided curve. And with respect to eights, the topological classification of eights, there are only two types of eights which are realizable as level curve of Morse-Bot function on the projective plane. They are the planar eights and projective eights. Planar eights are eights when the both components S1 and S2 are two-sided curves. In this case, the closed regular neighborhood of this planar eight is homeomorphic to S2 minus 3 disks. It's like the classical picture this. If you look the neighborhood is homeomorphic to S2 minus 3 disks, okay? And the projective H, when both components of H given by S1 and S2 are one-sided curves. In this case, the closed regular neighborhood of this projective H is homeomorphic to the projective plane minus 2 disks. This is a little bit more difficult to draw. For other non-orientable surface, of course, can appear more types of closed curves and more type of distinct H's, and consequently, distinct closed regular neighborhoods of an H. But they are not realizable in our case, because in our case, we are investigating Morse-Bot function on projective plane. Then we have just two types of closed curves, simple closed curve, and two topological type of eights, okay? Now we construct our graph associated to a Morse-Bot function defined on the projective plane. The vertices correspond to the singular fibers, like previous, okay? But now each vertex of the graph can be classified into one of the 5 types based on the singular fiber that it represents, because now we can have a maximum or minimal critical point, saddle point, but saddle, planar saddle, or projective saddle, one-sided critical circle, or a two-sided critical circle. And the vertices correspond to maximum, minimum points. And the saddle points, we denoted in the graph with black vertices, while the critical circles we denoted in the graph by white vertices. And the edges correspond to regular fibers. Here we have the possibility incidence rules of edges and vertices. Here we have the situation of maximum and minimum. Here we have, which means in the projective plane, a circle, a singular circle, which is one-sided critical circle. And in this case, it corresponds a vertex of degree 1 in a color white. Here we have a two-sided critical circle, and it corresponds in the graph degree 2 with the color white. Here we have a projective saddle given by two circles, where this circle and this circle are one-sided critical circle to form the H picture. But in the graph, this is vertex of degree 2 in a black vertex, because the saddle vertices are denoted by black vertices, but these are distinct because this degree is 2 and the canonical classical planar saddle correspond a vertex of degree 3 in the Hebbe graph. Okay? Let V1, V are the critical values of F. He can reorder the critical values so that we put in order the critical values and we label each vertex with the index I if it corresponds to critical value Vi. Then we define our graph in the following. Let F be a simple Morse-Watt function. The Hebbe graph of F together with the labels like defined here and with the colors of the vertex as previously defined, then we refer to this new graph as the Equiped MB Hebbe graph associated to F, and it will be denoted also by gamma F. Some example, here we have the projective plane, and we have a graph associated where here represents this vertex, okay, because here we have one-sided critical circles, and when I complete the level curves of this function in this picture, we form the points of the edges with the circles, identifying on two sides, until we go to this point, which represents this maximum point here. Okay, then we have ordered, colored graph with labels and color. Okay, this is MB Equiped Hebbe graph. Here we have another example, but now we are considering the projective plane as the connected sum of a Mobius band and a disk. Then in this case, we have in this part one-sided circle, which is related with these vertices. And here we have two-sided singular circle, which is related this vertex, the white vertex. And here we have a minimal point given associated to this vertex. The Equiped MB Hebbe graph generalizes the invariant given by Prishliak for a Morse function on the projective plane. If the F is a Morse-Watt function defined on the projective plane, then F has one and only one-sided critical circle or a projective circle. This is interesting because if F is Morse, follows from Prishliak's work that F has a vertex of degree 2. In this case, like if a Morse function, this vertex corresponds to the projective saddle. But in the case of F is Morse-Watt and not Morse, then F has a critical circle. Then in the proof of this proposition, we analyze if F admits a one-sided critical circle. In this case, we prove that F does not have a projective saddle and does not admit more critical circle of this type, then there is only one-sided critical circle. Or if you suppose that F do not admit a one-sided critical circle, we prove that necessarily F admits a projective saddle and it cannot admit other projective saddle. Then we have that a Morse-Watt function on the projective has one and only one-sided critical circle or a projective saddle. The next result tell us how the structure of our graph. Our graph is also a tree in this case. This is similar characteristic happening in the orientable case when the surface was the sphere. Okay, then in our case the graph is a tree. Since our definition of Equiped MB Hebbe graph takes into account the ordering the verse, we need to introduce an appropriate form to compare to classify our graphs restricting the notion of graph isomorphism. Then let f and g choose simple Morse-Bot function, and gamma f and gamma g their respective equipped Morse-Bot Hib graphs. We consider the respective induced quotient maps bar f and bar g as previously defined. Then we define now precisely what means two graphs to be equivalent. We say that gamma f is equivalent to gamma g, and we denote for this form if there exists a graph isomorphism J respecting the coloring of the verts and an increasing bijection L in the real line, such that the following diagram is commutative, where here we have bar F, here we have by G, here we have the graph isomorphism J, and here we have the increasing bijection L. Here VF denotes the vertices set, and delta denotes the discriminant sets or the image of the singular sets. And then we have our main result, where the equipped MB-Hib graph is a complete invariant up to topological A plus equivalent. Then our main result is that f and g, two simple Morse-Bot functions defined in the projective plane, are C0 A plus equivalent only if their respective equipped MB-Hib graph are equivalent. An idea of the proof in this direction: if we consider f and g equivalent, then we have this condition. There exists a homeomorphism k and h satisfying this condition. And here we prove that h in the source sends the regular level set of f onto regular set level of g, and h sends singular level set of f onto singular level set of g, preserving the same topological type of their respective neighborhoods. This fact is very interesting. Then H induces a graph isomorphism between gamma f and gamma g, respecting the color of the vertex, because this property of they preserve the same topological type. And K induce an increase in bijection, preserving the order or the labels of the vertex. Then we have the conditions of the definition of equivalence of graphs. Then f and g equivalent implies the graph equivalence. And the converse direction, if we suppose that the graphs are equivalent, by simplicity we assume that the singular values of f coincides with the singular values to f by simplicity. Then since f is simple, each critical level set of f has a unique critical point, even for g, and we produce a neighborhood of each vi in such a way that vi is the unique critical value of f in this neighborhood. We apply a Morse-Bot lemma, and we can show that locally f and g are equivalent. Then in appropriated neighborhood that we constructed, we obtain an equivalence, but a local equivalence. And the main step of the proof is a technical step, is we show how to extend this equivalence between f and g for all the projective plane, and we obtain that f and g are C0 A plus equivalent. Okay, I finish here. Thank you very much.